1. Hopefully everybody's synced up. Good morning, everybody. It's Sean Shapiro from Toronto Police Traffic Services. You might recognize the gentleman beside me. That's Chief of Police James Raymer, and he's joining us to answer some questions. Now, yesterday we asked folks to submit their questions in advance using trafficcop.ca on Volley, and those questions have come in. We've got them on screen, and we'll start off. But first of all, good morning, Chief. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us in the studio.
Oh, thanks so much, Sean, for the invitation. It's great to be here.
It's awesome. Folks always ask about what we're doing, and do you approve of what we're doing, and when are we going to see the Chief? So it's fantastic to get you in here, because last time we got you at headquarters.
Yes, you did. Actually, I was at my desk.
Yeah,
getting set up for all this elaborate camera setup.
Well, now you can see how I get a tan. This is how I do it. We can jump right into things, but if you like, or we can we can talk about anything. We got to see here. We've got folks jumping in. I've got Sean Shen who says good morning. Angela Topping says good day. Some of our regular viewers who pop in, and of course we've got folks who are coming into the live. Give them a few seconds to get set up. We've got a couple hundred people in TikTok coming in. And for anyone who has questions, you can throw them into the chat, but we will be focusing on questions. My mic is distorted. Apparently I'm garbled. Q, are you having any issues with my mic? It's hot. Okay, I'll reduce. We don't know why that's happening, but I will reduce the volume and see if that makes it any better. Okay, so we've had a bunch of stuff that come in. Maybe we'll start with this one, and this one is fun. It's a fun question that came in last night. What would you say that movies and TVs get wrong or right about police work?
Oh, wow. Well, I think we've heard this before, but that it's wrapped up in an hour. I think it doesn't get into just how, I think, quite often labor intensive, and then the impact that some of the work has on the individual members. You see isolated pockets of it sometimes, but I don't think it ever really captures the real essence of police work.
And far more paperwork. That's one thing that I learned.
Oh yeah, the paperwork is incredible, and that's, again, it's unrealistic. Like they'll go out and get involved in a major investigation, and then right away they're following up and continuing, and yet they've been involved in an event that would completely shut down your involvement in the continuing involvement in an investigation.
And then the court case is all done too, at least by the end of season.
Yeah,
if not by the end of the episode.
Yeah, generally always a positive too.
A question coming in about motorcycles. The question is, there have been many motorcycle rider deaths this summer. Has it been mostly driver error, speeding? Are motorists not seeing motorcyclists? And they want to know what we can do to prevent accidents or collisions like that.
Well, first of all, so let me say that I think we're up to about 111 right now in terms of motorcycles, and the most significant factor in those deaths has been speed, and so that's the individual operator of the motorcycle. From our standpoint, it's education is so important, and just exactly what you're doing here, Sean, by having this program and having people involved, is educate so that they're aware of what's going on, and then most importantly, something I believe in is the core responsibility of police officers is traffic enforcement, and why we place so much emphasis on the VSET program. To make sure that there's appropriate as much enforcement as we can provide.
Yeah, the motorcycle collisions are something that are near and dear, being a motorcycle rider and collision survivor. So a lot of what we do is try and focus on that education and discussing things about speed. This is one of those areas where speed is such a significant factor in collisions, where either rider error on the rider's point, and we just had a fatality a few days ago involving a motorcyclist, and they hit a pole. Amazingly, wherever there's a pole, riders or drivers for that matter seem to find it. Target fixation really plays a role there. We want to keep everybody safe, and that's one of the big things. Talking about VSET, what they do every day by changing rider behavior and driver behavior through enforcement. The whole idea of giving out tickets is to change behavior. A lot of people don't like this concept of being ticketed or being told that they're wrong.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But when you talk about motorcycles, I think we're all out there driving, and we see some of that behavior is some of the motorcycles in and out of traffic, through lanes, speeding at high speed, and it's a contributing factor, and that's why enforcement is very, very important.
Yeah, we're not saying that all riders are doing that, but certainly the ones that we see doing it are painting everybody with a really bad brush. There seems to be a very bad taste from the community about these riders, especially the ones creating unnecessary noise late at night, those loud mufflers that are modified. And I know we're always out there looking for people who are violating those rules. And I'm sure your office hears about all the complaints about noise on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear about the riding in packs as well. And so, yeah, we're talking about a smaller group of individual people, but and that's where we'd like to target enforcement.
Now, Sean Chen, on the topic of Vision Zero Enforcement Team, sent a question in saying, we've seen great work done by Vision Zero Enforcement Team and the continuous impact on road safety. Are there any plans to scale up and further align with the city's Vision Zero road safety plan?
Well, I'd say that right now we are really fully aligned with the city in terms of Vision Zero. Resources definitely are an issue, and we have once created there in 2020, and we have upstaffed it a little bit more. I think we've also been focusing on, the tools to do the job more effectively in terms of some of the equipment provided, some of the vehicles that are out there now that permits the officers to better better do their enforcement. So I think that's what we're doing. I think right now, I don't think we're going to see an immediate increase in people, although I'd like to do that, is we just simply don't have the staff at this point to do that.
Speaking of staffing, we are hiring. tps.ca/careers is a great place to get information and even submit applications when you're ready. We have recruiters from Talent Acquisition who are looking forward to hearing from you. So if you'd like more information, feel free to either drop questions in the Q&A, in the DM, or of course, call directly after going to the website. Yeah, lots of people on TikTok always want to know about, are we hiring? What are the requirements? Do you need a degree? And so on. They've got tons of questions, and our recruiters are the best source of that information.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we are hiring, by the way. We are hiring, and we're trying to put a class together here in August. We hire 3 times a year classes, April, August, and December. And we're trying to hire 120 officers in each of the classes. And that's for the foreseeable future. So please, if you're interested, contact us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not just hiring police officers, although we do need them. We're hiring parking enforcement officers. I believe special constables are in progress. So lots and lots of opportunities, and civilian jobs. So we've got all sorts of opportunities. There's another conversation about motorcycles. Boy, there's a lot of questions about motorcycles. You'd think people like riding or something. So the question is, keeping my motorcycle legal, what is the acceptable decibel level? How will it be tested, and by whom in regards to noise complaints? And maybe I should touch on that for a quick second.
Yeah, no, that would be good, traffic man.
So just a quick answer to that. Decibel levels in the city, there's a bylaw specifically for motorcycles. At idle, you can't exceed 92 decibels. Now we have officers that are with the city who do the enforcement specific to that charge. They have a meter for reading that, and that's for that charge. I believe the fine is $500. In terms of the Highway Traffic Act, the stuff that police officers are more directly related to, unnecessary noise is dealing with an improper muffler and creating noise that is above what is required for safe operation of your vehicle. So that's one for there. 74 decibels is for, I believe, the idle volume for the average vehicle. When it comes to motorcycles, yeah, they might be a little more noisy, but when you're buying an aftermarket pipe, you don't want to be putting something in that's not meant for the road, and it's going to say it right on there. Okay, we're going to scroll back to another question we thought. I see many scooters in my neighborhood, which I thought were banned in Toronto. What are you doing to enforce this ban?
You're absolutely right. They are banned. As far as I'm concerned, they're actually unsafe because you're seeing people even make modifications to them to make them even faster. It is a bylaw offense, and we'd like to see our officers actually enforcing that bylaw. But again, the availability, time, and the opportunity are some of the considerations into doing that. But yes, you are correct. They are banned in the city.
Yeah. So some of the confusion around that is that in Ontario, there's a pilot for e-kick scooters. Those are those stand-up ones, look kind of like a skateboard platform with 2 wheels and a handlebar. If they meet the requirements under the provincial bylaw, they're allowed in areas or cities that permit them, and Toronto's not one of them. But again, just like you said, Chief, people modify those things to go way beyond the legal limits that even for where they're permitted. They would become motor vehicles. They need license, ownership, and insurance, and they just can't be insured. So you can't operate them anywhere in the city of Toronto, no sidewalks, streets, or parks, and they are incredibly dangerous. I've seen some footage of collisions involving these balance boards or hoverboard style stuff, and as well as those e-kick scooters. It's pretty grueling.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous for the rider and the pedestrians that they interact with as well.
For sure. Let's see here. We've got Here's an interesting question. Given your kind of perspective in your position, I'd love to hear more about your goals or upcoming initiatives that you'd really like to see come to fruition or get accomplished in the coming months and year.
Actually, it is a great question. I mean, there's from my perspective, the future of policing is community policing. It's harkening back to what was old is new again. And when I think back to the times that I started, walking a beat and being part of the community was something that we did all the time. And the expansion of our neighbor officer program, which we expanded this year by, including the supervisors up in, approximately 60 people, is something that we need. There's still a lot of neighborhoods in the city that do not have neighborhood officers. And it's just an absolutely great program. And I think what really resonates with me is when I'm out in the community and they're talking about their neighborhood officers and they reference them as our neighborhood officers. They've taken ownership of them in the sense that in terms of relationships being established. And I really do think it's essential in policing that we move in that regard. And that's what I'd like to see in the future as policing continues, is a real focus on that aspect of it, as community policing.
I love it. I see it in social media. You can see in all the photos and video that we see coming across about events, and there really is, they're part of the community.
And one of the things we've sort of gotten away with over the years is traffic enforcement, and it's something that I truly believe in. I mentioned earlier, it's a core responsibility. And if you look around the city and you go throughout the GTA and you look at some of the traffic and some of the behavior that we see, and then the ultimate impact that has, that behavior, I'd like to see more focus on traffic enforcement. We can do it through technology, but you also need the human interaction as well, and the individual performing that function, and I find that so important. A couple of areas like that we have to do, and then I think we need to address, some of the realities of policing now, and actually the staffing numbers. For a city our size, we really we need more staff to do policing effectively, and to all the demands of the fastest growing city in North America, the fourth biggest city in North America. It requires a level of policing to do all the major events and everything else. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
We often hear, why aren't we doing more? And it's exactly that. We can only be in one place at one time. One officer can't be doing enforcement and responding to calls at the same moment. So many of the issues that people complain about are simply that we can't be everywhere all the time.
That's correct.
Let's see here. We have actually that was a question from Mitch, and he followed up with, also, is there a question that you wish you were asked more? So he'd like to know what that question would be, and also what the answer to that question would be, because he's really curious.
I think the question would be, do you have enough staff, and do you need more? And the answer is yes.
So it's an easy one.
No, it's no and yes.
Yeah, the more people would always help. Okay. Here's an interesting one, and apparently this is based on a real-world situation that happened to the asker of this question. If a suspect is fleeing on foot and hops over the barricade of the highway and runs into a vehicle, would that driver be responsible for any injuries to the suspect?
Yeah, no, I would say no. I think that the individual is unlawfully on the roadway as well, and that's not something that the operator of the vehicle has likely been able to do anything about.
Yeah, someone jumping into a roadway is one of those things that they weren't lawfully there. You're not expected to be able to be psychic and anticipate, especially if we're talking about expressways. That's a totally different thing. We've got some questions that are coming in live. Let's see here. Okay, we got here. We have a general thank you for your service. We have, does the Toronto Police Service offer ride-alongs to applicants and people interested in becoming police officers?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, and you are able to do that. And quite frankly, it's probably not a bad idea to do that. But there's also other volunteer opportunities in terms of our auxiliary program to get some exposure to policing in the organization as well. And right now, we're actually going to the board this month with the board report to sort of enhance our hiring processes by trying to start to get into high schools in grade 11 and 12 to talk about coming into the special constable program, and then seeing if, interacting with police officers, being involved with the organization, and see if policing is something that's going to interest you. So there's a couple of avenues there that you can be involved in, but to your point, or the original question, yes, a ride-along is an opportunity.
For a long time, they weren't permitted because of COVID, but I wonder if that's now is no longer an issue and you can, at this point, talk to recruiting?
Yeah, my understanding is it is available now, yes.
But either way, talk to recruiting if that's something you're interested in. Knowing more about the police service you want to work at and wear the uniform of, however you do that research, whether you find a mentor or find a police officer, ask lots of questions. These are good things to know. Study up, and ride-alongs are great. Okay, we've got a bunch of stuff that came in, lots of morning messages. We have, here's an interesting. Well, maybe we'll leave this one for later because we are going to go in we don't have a lot of time with the chief, and this one's a technical question that I don't expect anyone to know. Do you have to
referring to me? Are you, Sean?
No, not at all, sir. Do you have to be from Toronto to do a ride along or volunteer in Toronto?
No.
Yeah, you can be from anywhere, especially as we have volunteers that drive in. But there are volunteer opportunities. Not that I want to promote any other service because we're the best one, but you can find a local police service. Most of the services have auxiliary programs, and volunteering, wearing a uniform, volunteering. I started as a volunteer with the auxiliary program here back in 2000. It was a fantastic volunteer opportunity, unlike anything you've ever done before. Okay. We have a question about, can we get some clarification with the new stunt driving limits and changes from recent months? Chief, do you want to talk about stunt driving?
Well, yeah, actually, I will. And just from personal experience, I guess, Ian and I were on the 407 there a few weeks ago, and I think we stopped somebody at about 180 kilometers an hour. So even I'll get involved. And the reality is it's totally inappropriate. It's so unsafe. And geez, the results that happen once there's a crash at that speed is just the impact is phenomenal, right? And we have to protect against it. In terms of the specifics, it's still the 150 number in terms of your vehicle being impounded, and that's certainly what happened a couple of weeks ago as well. Yeah, as well as the charge.
Well, you got anywhere where the speed limit is 80 or over, it's 150. Actually, it's over. Sorry, I should say 50 over anywhere that the speed limit is 80 or over. In fact, it's above 150 anywhere as soon as you go 150. So even on stretches of highway where it's now 110, you would have to go 40 over and still trigger the 150 anywhere rule. And if you're on a street that has a speed limit under 80, it's now 40 kilometers to trigger. But there's so many people. We were talking about this on Zoomer Radio over the weekend. A lot of people don't realize that there's a number of ways to trigger stunt driving. One of them is to travel with someone in your trunk. I don't know how often that gets triggered, but
there's not many drive-ins anymore, is there?
Yeah, there you go. How to get an extra person in front of a movie. So a comment coming in from Twitch. Actually, it was from TikTok originally. It was repeated in Twitch, and that is the chief looks so cool and laid back, and Toronto is lucky to have him.
Oh, well, thank you.
We have here, okay, so the other, just to finish off the question about clarification with stunt driving, the new impound and suspension rules went from 7 days impound, 7 days suspension to now 14 days impound and 30 days suspension. So that was something else that happened in September of 2021. Okay. I've always wondered if you get pulled over on the 401, do you pull over to the left or right shoulder? Just a quick answer for that one. It's going to be we generally want you on the right shoulder. If you were in a situation where you couldn't get to the right shoulder because it was so busy there and we were trying to get an emergency vehicle through, you'd be the closest shoulder or edge of roadway. I figure I'd just take care of that one for you.
Yeah, no, and I just comment is that the officer will generally try to help you get to the right shoulder as well when they're pulling you over, right? So it's just you need to slow down and do it carefully, and that is the preference, as Sean said.
Okay, but you're absolutely right. I was very often actively trying to direct people because we see some amazing things. One of the questions that we tend to get that people get very frustrated, very heated about is that concept of only turning on our lights and sirens when we get to a signalized intersection that's red in order to go through it and then deactivating it again. And we talk about the fact that it's generally safer because we can't always predict what a driver's going to do when they just see those lights coming on. But not everybody likes that answer.
Yeah, well, it's true though. It's the reality. Some people really react differently when suddenly that lights and siren is happening. happening, and we have to account for that when we're driving.
I'm going to have a quick look here. We've got stuff coming in everywhere, but I want to try and get, let's see here. So here's one that's really meant to be a dig, but I'll address it anyway because it's interesting. He says, they're saying, no wonder there are guns in the street because these guys are too busy on TikTok.
Well, communication is key, and this is a new generation. This is the way we get information, and we get it quickly. And what better way to educate and talk about enforcement campaigns and make people aware? So, appreciate the question, but actually, we probably aren't doing it enough.
And we're on here Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. And by the way, for anyone who's watching who has no idea who I'm standing beside, it says it right on your screen, Chief James Raymer of the Toronto Police Service. And actually, I took my name off the screen. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable here at the Toronto Police Service at Traffic Safety Programs. And we do this education business where we get online, we answer your traffic and police questions every day. And today we're lucky enough to have Chief James Raymer joining us in studio. And it really is cool to have you.
And I'll just add, Sean, that point. I mean, prevention is key in terms of policing, and what we try to do is, when I talk about the neighborhood officer program and different programs we have to educate people to avoid becoming involved in crime. Prevention is key, education is key, enforcement is a component of what we do.
You know, it's funny, when we talked about the community officer program, or neighborhood officer program, we talked about the concept of building community, becoming part of the community. And what you're seeing here, this is very much our community. People who come in every single day and spend time with us. Hundreds of people. Right now, there's about 420 people just on TikTok alone, not counting the other platforms. And they're here all the time, really contributing, because they not only contribute in the form of questions, but they share our content. They bring it to home. Many of them talk about the fact that they go to parties and now they sound like they know stuff. Well, they do know stuff. They've now taken on that role of further sharing the content and knowledge that we bring to them, and it's awesome. So I thank you, everyone who's watching and contributing every day to what we do. Because if you didn't come on with questions, we'd have nothing to talk about. We'd have to just talk about how cool the new Chargers are. we way back when we got the first Chargers for VZEP, you delivered them. Were the marked ones faster? Because you delivered those as well. Yeah,
I was very careful. Yeah, they're well equipped, but you know what? The officers are well trained, and these are the tools you need to do this type of enforcement on the highways now. And we looked at everything, and the officers have a lot of input into what's doing. We know the roof lights are not having the roof lights, so I think are more effective in terms of the work that they're doing, and it's working. The feedback I've had is that they're operating very effectively.
It's funny that ties into something else. So obviously we don't need to advertise that we're doing. They're not advertising that we are out there. We're doing enforcement, and very often we want to catch people doing the things that they do when they don't realize the police are watching. So it's not about announcing our presence and being good while we're there. It's about making good driving decisions all the time. I can't read that. I was given a message, but I can't read it that far. I need my binoculars. I understand that you're being called away very shortly because you have another appointment. So I want to thank you for coming out and spending time with us, and I hope we can do it again sometime. I forgot what. Oh, I'll finish that thought that I went off on a tangent on, and it's that we don't have to be announcing our presence to catch someone. The whole idea is to stop people from doing it to give them the impression that we're watching, so that they can change their behavior, and hopefully they just do it because they want to make the road safer. But all the tools you've been giving our teams are fantastic. So thank you for supporting traffic enforcement and making our roads safer.
No, that's part of the role, Sean, to make sure we're giving our folks the tools to do the job effectively. So, and then making sure that we're listening to their feedback as well, and they contribute to that discussion in terms of what is needed because they're out there doing the job every day.
Well, the vast majority of people that we hear from want our roads to be safe because they care about the people that are traveling on them, their friends and family. So that's awesome.
Well, we're up to 30 deaths this year already. And our traffic is starting to get back to really pre-pandemic levels, and if we're not careful and we're not doing this kind of work, that number is going to continue to rise, and that's the whole point of Vision Zero and the VZEP program is to reduce that. And ideally, we'd like to be at zero, but we know realistically that's not going to happen in the short term. But we have to. This is an absolute priority of the organization, and to work in collaboration with the city on that.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to hold you up because I know important people are waiting, but thank you again. And everyone, if you want to ask more questions, you can certainly ask questions. I will forward them off, and we'll keep them on tap for next time, because I hope there will be a next time.
No, absolutely, Sean. I'd love to come back.
Awesome. Thank you again, Chief.
Thanks so much. You take care.
All right, we're going to do a quick pause. I'm going to reset, and because I got the table here a little low. Let me see here. We're still going right till 11 o'clock, but the goal is to try and get as many minutes as we can with the big boss, and it's awesome that he was able to come out. All right, I'm going to do a quick thing where I make it play a movie for 1 second. So I apologize for the hokey music, but allow me to do a quick second. So here we go. We're going to play this. We're back. Does it look different? I'm sitting down. I can't stand up so long. I could, some days are good, some days are bad, but today is not one of the good days for standing. So I'm starting to feel it yeah. Anyway, we're back. And I am still Sean Shapiro. This is still Toronto Police Traffic Services. And my guest this morning was Police Chief James Raymer. If you missed it, you can go catch it on YouTube. It'll be available for replay. Actually, it's probably available right now as a live replay, because you can go in and catch up when you jump into YouTube. But, if you're here, we love you. Don't go anywhere. I should probably change the background picture, because I am not Chief James Raymer. 1 second. Enhance. Effects. Press this button. Press that button. So many things to scroll through. It's warm in here. It says my name now. Yes, it does, because that's me. All right. I hope, change your name on, hey, I did just check my name on TikTok. But Q, thank you for being on it. Much appreciated. Okay. Now, okay, move the Chief's mic. We did that out of the way. All right. Whew, is it hot in here? What's going on? No pressure at all. All right. I got some business to take care of. We're going to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. I mean, we talked about Vision Zero Enforcement Team, but we didn't discuss the fact that today, being that it's the 26th, yeah, still the 26th. That today they're in 32 Division and 53 Division. What does that mean? It means they're in Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Yonge and Eglinton, Lawrence Park, Rosedale, Leaside. Those are neighborhoods being serviced by the police officers from Vision Zero. And what are they doing? They are looking for folks who are choosing to break the law. Yes, the law. That Highway Traffic Act that's trying to keep people safe, to keep people from driving quickly, unsafely, speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. Those are all the things we're looking for. And yeah, when they break the law, they put lives at risk. People don't want to acknowledge that their actions may have consequences. I mean, not just the consequence of being ticketed. I mean, the consequence of taking a life. I have had far too many calls for service where we have... Who's calling me? I can't talk to them. 52 Division is calling. I'm sorry, 52 Division, I cannot call you. I cannot answer you. You have to leave a voicemail. People on TikTok matter. Oh, wait, I can censor that better. Oop. Cool. Yeah, they'll have to go to voicemail. Hopefully it's not an emergency. Okay. We talked about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. We should talk about the fact... It's off center now? It wasn't off center before? Hold on. It looks like it's centered now. Okay. I don't know. Q says it's off center, and now she's swearing. But only in not really swearing. She's just hitting all the keys, and I'm inserting profanity in place of those mashing the keys. All right. I can make a little zoom. Hang on. Zoom. There we go. Better. Okay. I got to get back into the zone. Today on volley, and I'll chop it up and I'll post responses that the chief made to the individual volleys. If you're wondering what is a volley is what I'm using to circumvent the fact that, or to make up for the fact that Q&A is not working for us. Volley is and that's how I found them, but now I actually love them. I think it's a fantastic platform. If you've never heard of Volley app, you're missing out. Volley app allows you to have volleys, a little voice, or I should say video, voice, or text chat that is different than traditional chat apps, in that you can send a video message and have a conversation that takes place over days, months, years, whatever, and it doesn't require everyone to be staring at the phone at the same time. It's not live. It's what is it? Non-linear communication. I think that's the term, and I like it. So if you go to trafficcop.ca, you can actually join our traffic services community. You can ask questions anytime, day or night. I won't answer them at night, but I will see them. And there's other people jumping into that may know the answers. Whereas on TikTok, you're only talking to us when we're live. You can comment, and I try and get to all the comments, but this is a different thing. It's a group conversation, and it's awesome. All right, let's see what's going on. Tracy, I'm sorry, Tracy, I missed your message. It says, Chief, you seem like a cop's cop. Love that you spend time with your frontline officers. That's so great to see. Thank you both for what you do. I will send that to the boss, because that is a truly awesome message. All right. Lots of thanks to Chief messages. Oh, and Tracy didn't know about the Anywhere 150 law. Yeah, Anywhere. Okay. That's awesome. What else can I talk to you about? Let's see what we got in the chat. Are there new messages coming in? Boom, boom, boom. Let me scroll to the bottom. I saw something about G1, G2, and I didn't go into it with the chief here because I thought that was a question that was better for me, not him. How long do you need to wait before getting your G after getting your G2? 1 year. 1 year. There may be special circumstances if you're coming in from another country of certain credit. They might have some accelerated paths for you. But generally speaking, if you're someone who is going in from G1 to G2 to G, 1 year from G2 to G. And Tracy Bell also says good morning to Q. Q, who is official. Do we officially announce that? Official Q. Q, are you there? Hello, Q.
I'm here.
Q is official. She is our official first volunteer moderator. Official. And as quickly as she says hello, the mute goes back on. So our volunteer program for moderators is making a move. It was official. So congratulations. Happy day 2 of official volunteerism. Yeah. Excuse me, volunteering with us for quite some time, but now officially a volunteer, like on paper, employee number and everything. Okay. Can we get some No, we talked about that. Okay. Oh, when I missed this one. If it was for the chief, I apologize. When you encounter something very traumatic, do you debrief in the office? Yeah, for major events, there is a debriefing session. We do have peer support network of officers who come in. There is a protocol, and it's very important stuff. Debriefing and mental health. I mean, we see a lot of bad stuff. We do. It's part of the job, but that doesn't make it less real. It's still very real, and people have major trauma from that. Some people can't work anymore because it's so intense. We see a lot of stuff, and we see more than anybody else sees. I say we being police. Police see more death and destruction than anyone's intended to see. So it's a lot, and everyone deals with it differently. It's not always good. That's why we take so seriously mental health awareness and in getting the help that you need and supporting our officers throughout everything. That's a big deal. Okay, if you're watching and you don't know how to ask a question, you can use the Q&A feature of Instagram. You normally would be able to use the Q&A. Now, let me check. No, Q&A still doesn't work. But I bet you if I press the lightning button, what is it going to say? Do you prefer money or love? First time I've ever asked that question. Can you not have a blend of both? You can't have be able to pay your bills and have love? Anyway, I tend not to press the lightning button because I want to hear from you, our viewers. I don't want to hear from the random questions asked by the computer. Angela says she's visiting Tracy, and we will take a visit and come see. Yes, definitely come see. Come say hello. We met. It's too bad. Honda Indy was amazing. We had Honda Indy last weekend. 2 weeks ago? Last weekend? It was 2 weeks ago now. I don't know, it blends together. It was the weekend of the 17th, 18th, 19th, I believe. And it was awesome. And I met so many of our viewers. It was really cool. And I look forward to future opportunities to do this again, because there are many, many great opportunities and events in the city, and we will try and be involved with those so we can, hang out. I say hang out, but I mean what is it here? My wife says, answer wisely, love or money. It's only about love, right? Only about love. My wife is listening. Okay. Question about M2 class drivers. Must they have 0 BAC? But what if you're in a car at the time of the stop with a G? So if you are a G-class driver driving a G-class vehicle, or a vehicle that requires a G-class to operate it, then you are not, if you're over 21, being 22 or older, you wouldn't have to have 0 BAC. But if you're on a motorcycle with a learner's permit, then the 0 BAC requirement would be there. The requirement is while you're operating under the coverage of that designation. So if you're on a motorcycle with a learner's permit, you have to have 0 BAC regardless of your age. What do we got here? Can I have a sunstrip on my windshield? The answer is depends. Sunstrips, although I don't think look very good, and some people disagree, this because they say they want to be able to see in the sun. I say wear sunglasses. They say, but I like sunstrips, and we have a conversation that goes nowhere. But if your vehicle was manufactured before 2017, you can, in fact, have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter sunstrip that runs from the top of your windshield to the PS1 line, or 3 inches, whichever happens first. That is the deal. Now, the ones that are at the bottom, you cannot have it all. You cannot have any, and no other tint is permitted on the front windshield. Someone really wants to know about peeled plates. I meant to talk to the chief about that. Because I know that he is not a happy peeled plates person. It bugs him as much as it bugs me. Listen, I saw a plate yesterday that even though I was the car directly behind the vehicle, it had no reflective, no sticker, no nothing. It was a bare plate, and on top of that, it was dirty. So it was a dirty bare plate. And I couldn't see, I couldn't make it out. Like I would have had to have stopped them and done like a rubbing on his license plate to make out what it was. In any case, peeled plates are illegal. You are responsible for maintaining the plates to make sure that they are legible from the front or back, depending on which plate we're talking about. Clearly legible, not decipherable with a polarizing filter. Like it has to be plainly visible. If you don't, you get a ticket for $110. If you get it replaced, you might have to pay $52 to replace it. You might get it covered under warranty if it was within the 5 years, but whichever way you play it, get it fixed. It's better than getting a ticket. And for the people who refuse and say, but it doesn't belong to me, I'm just borrowing it from the ministry, it still belongs to them, you're right, and you're still obligated to replace it. Okay. Is there a limit of people in the car if you have a G2? Yes, there is. It's two-part. I never remember what this is. It's two-part. It's the first 6 months and the second 6 months of being a G2 driver. In the first 6 months, I think you can only have one person under the age of 19, between 12 and 5 in the morning. Now I got to look it up. And somewhere I have a cell phone. It's in my pocket. There it is. Because on my cell phone I have information, and in that information, part of that information is very specifically about cell phone stuff. So not cell phone stuff, but driver's license stuff. So driver's licenses. Let me pull it up. What's that? Oh, hey, thanks. Q. Put it up on screen. The first 6 months after receiving your G2 license, you're allowed to carry only one passenger under 19, and after 6 months, you're allowed to carry. What is this? 6 months you can carry, what is this? Up to 3 passengers under 19, and it's between but it's between certain times, is it not, or is it any time? Now I gotta look. In any case, yeah, there you go. The number of passengers under 19 changes, but you do have restrictions. Unless you're over 20, sorry. Unless you're over 20, at which point, or 20 or over, then you are not restricted. Folks who say, don't spam the chat. That's our folks who say, don't spam the chat. So please don't spam the chat. If you're asking questions, please don't interfere with others' ability to watch or interact, because that's what's happening if you're taking up all the air in the room. Hey, if you don't know who I am, and it doesn't say it on the screen, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on social media answering your traffic and police questions. We do it because we want to educate. We want to share information. We want to give you access to us, the police. If you've got questions, use the Q&A feature of Instagram. Use the chat of TikTok, because Q&A is still broken for us. I say it's for us because other users can use it. It's just hate on us. I'm kidding. It's not hate on us. It's just they broke it, or it's broken, and we don't know how to fix it. What else? If you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can just use it in the comments. And in the event that you are on Twitter, I apologize, but you can still go on to Volley app, and to get into our community Q&A space, you can go on traffichop.ca. It'll forward you. It's just a forwarding link. It'll forward you to the space that we've created for you. It is an awesome thing, I think. And the questions that you may have heard the chief discuss earlier were coming out of there mostly. I just read that Neon says "Good Blessed Tuesday." He put that in the Chiefs Q&A section. Oh no, he put it in the main Q&A section, not the Chiefs area, which is good, because I was going to say I didn't think that was for the Chief. Not that you can't wish him a good blessed morning. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, there's no time. Okay, Q clarifies there's no time on the under. Really, there's no time on the under 19 thing? I would have thought it would be between 12 and 5. In any case, Q says it's not there. It may not be there. What do we have here? I want driver's licenses, G2. You're probably right. G2 license holder, more passenger than seatbelts is a law. Excess passenger. So it's just period, yeah. Oh no, it is. It's between 12 and 5, midnight and 5 a.m. Yes, there is a restriction. No, I'm reading G2. So I know we're having a dialogue here off the line. Sorry, folks, as we deep dive, and it's between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. It says so right there. It's right there. Angela says, boop the snoop, tap the nose. If you tap the screen, you will send likes to the live stream here on TikTok, and that will help share it with the world. But you know what? It's okay. If there's 125 people, it's 125 people. If there's 1,000 people, it just means it's busier. And I'm good with either. I just want you guys to get the information you want. Okay, earlier, this is a question from Mommy C4. He mentioned community policing. How can we get the community police officers to understand children with special needs and have them understand the police? That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, we do have folks with special needs, and we do our best to communicate, and it's been a while since I've been on the road, but I've met lots of people with special needs, and we work it out. I don't mean in terms of policing, I mean just talking, communicating. We work with Special Olympics, and I want to say we have training, but I don't know how much training we have specifically with special needs. We do our best. But I think that there's probably training or programs currently available that I'm not aware of. But I think this is a great question. I think we should circle back to it. So I'll make note of it and maybe bring it up next time we're talking to the chief, because that's a good question. Also, bring it up to my sergeant, who may be aware of stuff that I'm not aware of. Making notes right now. Special needs. Feel free to DM me, too, so we can continue this conversation. All right. Closing that. Moving on. Steve says, Canada seems like a horrible country. Why? What did Canada do to you? By enforcing traffic laws? Come on. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Can a Manitoba driver get a ticket for not having his front license plate, for having his front license plate in his windshield, because in Manitoba, it's okay to have your front license plate in your windshield? I don't know if in the Manitoba it's actually legal to have it in your front windshield. If you're required to display two plates, you are likely required to attach them in a specific place. Even if you don't get ticketed for it, it doesn't mean that the law isn't written that. So it depends. Here, if you have two plates, you have to install them in the appropriate place. I'd have to look at what Manitoba law says, but here, if you have two plates, you need to display them properly, and I imagine they have to too. Okay, what do we got here? Road safer, less than revenue and money for higher salaries. That's baloney. TDEL19 wants to say that, and the deal is that we don't make commission. The money that we make or that is associated with the tickets we write So money is generated for the province. Go to the province. We get what we get. We have a budget. Nothing changes. They don't say, "Oh, the police service wrote a bunch of tickets. Let's give them more money next year." No. I mean, you're suggesting it. Maybe it should be, but it isn't. Okay. Why are there specific entry and exit lanes for HOV lanes? What are the rationale for creating the double lines between the HOV lane and left lane on the highway? I imagine the idea is that you don't abuse the HOV lane just to pass people, which is what some would probably do if you had hash marks there instead of an enforceable line, right? You can actually get ticketed for crossing that line, which is good. We need things to make more opportunities to dissuade people from doing dangerous things. It's an express lane. It's not it's not to go faster. It's to go faster than the flow of traffic that is going slower. So it's not, it's not the ultimate passing lane. It is simply an opportunity for you to have a consistent lane where only people who are commuting or have multiple passengers in the vehicle or have green plates and qualifying plates can go to get past the stop traffic. If you know you have to get off at the next exit, you need to get off in advance so you can safely maneuver. If you're going to make a last minute maneuver, you're talking about unsafe things. So I don't know the specific reason that they did that, but I can speculate based on it seems logical to not have people try and travel 4 lanes across the highway in midst traffic. Because really, if there's no traffic, there's no benefit to being in the HOV lane. It's only a benefit if traffic is not moving and you get access to the big lane and move faster than everybody else. And by faster, I really do mean a speed differential. You shouldn't be, if everyone's stopped, you shouldn't be doing 100. Because if someone pulls out in front of you, you're going to smack them, and it's going to be a bad collision. So knowing a little bit about how to drive and the good or right way to drive would go a long way. What do we have here? Can you get the teddy in your back? Can I get the teddy? Can you get the teddy? No, what are you talking about? That's Buddy. Buddy basically lives there. He's a custom-made bear in a custom-made uniform. He even has a hat badge that says Buddy. That's his badge number. Official. I got stooped by police, but he was very nice and gave me a bylaw provincial ticket. Does that go on my record? Bylaw tickets should go on your, I don't know. I think a bylaw ticket's going to be going against your license plate against your vehicle. What was the bylaw for? I don't know. I honestly don't know. You stumped me. I don't know what the answer to that question is. I don't know if it goes, because a conviction under the HTA will go on your driver's license, but I don't know if a bylaw ticket will. Interesting. I think bylaw tickets go on your plate. And now I have to go phone a friend after. Bylaw tickets. Writing it down, because there's no points for bylaw. So what's bylaw ticket? Does it go on your, these are my notes. Notes to myself. Okay. My list of things to do is getting bigger. Thanks a lot. No, seriously, it's good. I love it when I get a question I don't know the answer to, because it forces me to go look it up, find out, and then I know for next time. If you gift your car to your parents, can you keep your plates? Where do you have to return them? I have plates from 10 cars that are sitting in my safe. I have a bunch of stuff because I can take those plates and I can put them onto the next vehicle. They're not valid for use, but they don't have to be returned. There's no 30 days after taking them off a vehicle you have to return them, unless you do, and then I don't have any plates. Yeah, and I want to put those old. I was looking at some plates, going through them to see if I have some funky plates, because I want to actually have plates that are good quality, and the plates that I got in the 80s are better than the plates that I got now. Just saying. So yeah, when you gift your car to your parents, you're gifting the vehicle and they're transferring ownership. You keep your plates. You don't give them with the plates. At least you don't have to. I don't even know if you can. When a pedestrian is crossing the road, do you have to wait until they are on the sidewalk to turn? I love this question. I get this question all the time. And here's the deal. If they crossed your half of the road, if they're past you, you're no longer failing to yield. You can continue along the road. Give them enough space to make sure that you can make that turn safely. And that's for a signalized intersection with crosswalks, not a pedestrian crossover, and not an intersection where a crossing guard is present. And the reason I say that is because if a crossing guard is present, or if it's a PXO, you must wait until they're entirely off the road, all the way to the other side of the road, on the sidewalk, not on the roadway in any way, shape, or form. That's the deal. If you are in a situation where they are crossing, heading towards you, or haven't even hit the ground yet, but you can tell they're about to put a foot onto the ground, you have to yield to those people. And then, of course, you can't do anything when they're legally in the road. Let's move on. I think I've answered it. If you still have questions, please ask it again or ask it in a different way. Do you have any idea how many drivers are by themselves in the HOV lane? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if they, and I don't know if you know, but I don't know. The truth is that we don't have. That's not true. We do have HOV lanes in Toronto. I've not been targeting HOV lanes. I've never done that. I've been always, dealt with focusing on speed and things that impact safety. I don't like that people violate the HOV lane, but that's not been something that I've focused on enforcing. Question about lane sharing. Lane sharing, motorcycles traveling between lanes. Do you mean two motorcycles sharing one lane? Do you mean splitting, which is what I was originally describing? What do you mean? I want to answer your question, but I don't know what your question is. Okay. What is a pedestrian crossover? PXO question mark. The answer to your question is a PXO is not directly related to an intersection. It is going to be marked clearly. It's going to have an overhead flashing light. It's going to have probably a sign that says PXO. And they're in areas of the city that aren't signalized intersections, and those are what we were talking about. They look like crosswalks, and you cannot get through them as a driver. Excuse me. You cannot cross through them as a driver until the pedestrians are completely off the road.
Hydrate.
I just took a sip. Okay. Where are you? You're not paying attention if you didn't see that.
No, you need another one.
Oh, I need another one. You say, okay, so I took a sip, but it wasn't good enough. Okay, I think, interesting. Jason Nathanson says, I think that bylaw tickets go on ICON, Integrated Court Enforcement Network. I don't know. This is, again, I'm going to have to look it up. Oh, so here's a funny one. I love this. As I pull out my driver's license. Come on. Cargo.
Which is in black and white, by the way, the picture.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is. Why is it in black and white? Okay.
Because when you pull it up on the computer system, it's in color.
Uh-huh.
Black and white on the physical license.
So what was the point? Did someone ask that? Why were we going there? I thought you were just trying to say I was old. So my license is so old. So the reason I bring that up is on the back of your driver's license, there is a small print, very small print. I'm not wearing reading glasses. And the very small print says that your vehicle combined maximum is 11,000 kilos. The towed vehicle maximum is 4,600 kilos. So on the back of your own license, it'll say. Because it does that kind of thing. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. Okay. Oh. And, okay, let's scroll back here. Let's say parking signs have instructions for Monday to Friday and Sunday. What should we do for Saturday? The person who knows the answer to that question is not sitting here. If it has the restrictions for Monday to Friday and Sunday, that I would assume has no restriction for Saturday. However, Aaron Urquhart, who's the person who knows the answers to questions of that nature, is not sitting close by. I think we scared her off when the chief was here. She relocated because there was staff here using her space. But you know what? Go check her out. TPS_Bikehart. She is the knower of all things parking. And if she doesn't know it, she knows people who do. I mean, technically I do too, because I know her. Okay. We talked about Mr. Rhodes. Let me refresh here. Oh, how much over the speed limits you have to be going to get stopped by you, specifically me? It depends. It depends on the road that I am policing. If it is a 30 zone, I'll stop you for 5 or 10 over, no question. You don't. That's a huge amount over the speed limit, 5 or 10 over at that point. And a lot goes into it. Depends on what the average speed is. If everyone's doing 10 over, probably not going to stop the people who are doing 5 over. I'm going to concentrate on the people who are doing 10 over. But everything's different. Everything depends. And there's one where, having tinted windows might trigger a 5 over and the tinted windows. So I'm going to write you for both tickets. So if people always say, well, why do you stop tinted windows? So I can't see in. Well, if I can't see in, that's really the reason I'm stopping you. But I'm also going to lay the charge for speeding even for 5 over in a 30 zone. If we're in a 100 zone, I'm not stopping you for 5 over because that's to me unreasonable. But 15 over, Yeah, I'll stop you for 15 over, 20 over, sure. If you're in the 60 zone, 15 over all day long. That's 25% of the speed over. So 15 over is an easy and justifiable, and I got no qualms about stopping you for 15 over and charging you for 15 over. If you're doing 20 over, I charge you for 20 over. It's simple as that. Don't speed. That's the answer. Every kilometer over the speed limit that you travel, you double your chances of becoming involved in a collision. That doesn't mean that you are going to definitely be in a collision. It means that you've doubled your chances of being in a collision. So 10 over means quadrupled your chances, right? That's how the math works. We don't want you to get into a collision. We want you to avoid collisions. That's the deal. We want you to get to where you're going safe and sound, so that, and we want everyone to get to where they're going safe and sound. And if we start treating everybody on the road like they're people you like and care about, maybe we'd be kinder by not speeding. And it really is a selfish thing. You know, somebody made a really ridiculous comment. I was going to say something much ruder, but I scaled it back to ridiculous. And they said that actually it was a video that was posted and we were tagged in. And they said driving is so boring, so mind-numbing that they should be raising the speed limits. Listen, if you can't focus on driving at 100 kilometers an hour, that it is so boring, you should just hand in your driver's license. You shouldn't be on the road. If you can't, there is so much going on, and there's so many opportunities to entertain yourselves with thought instead of breakneck speeds. And 120, which is, I think he was suggesting we raise the speed limits to 120, and then someone said, well, that means that everyone's going to go 140. He goes, exactly. So he doesn't want raising the speed limits to 120. He wants to raise the unofficial speed limit to 140, and that is ridiculous. And even 120 is unfortunately just something that you shouldn't be doing. What is the crime if you scratch? I don't know what your question is, because what is stretching? Stretch your car? No, it can't be stretch.
Stretch limo, stretch car, stretch tire.
No, that's not a crime. So he says, what is the crime? So I'm assuming that's an activity, but I don't know what it is. We're speculating. They have to use the actual word, or I can't answer it. That's like when I worked at McDonald's many moons ago, and what was it called?
Scratch.
What is the crime if you scratch someone's car? Like intentionally scratch a car? That's going to be mischief at very least, criminal mischief. Intentionally, you scratch a car unintentionally. It's different than if you write the messages with your keys. Scratching a car is criminal mischief. But going back to my menu item for McDonald's, that there is one item now I can't even remember what it's called. What's it called? It was a Tex-Mex dish. Oh, it's bugging me. Does anybody know? Anybody in the chat remember what it is? I was about to say that if someone couldn't pronounce it properly, I wouldn't let them order it, because I was 13 and that's what I did, or maybe I was 14. I can't even think of what the item was. It was old McDonald's food. Okay, not breakfast burritos. It was something else. It was something that was hard to pronounce, and I just can't remember what it is. It was, and of course I knew how to pronounce because somebody told me what it was. But no, breakfast burrito is pretty easy. I don't even think they had breakfast burritos back then. It was fajitas. I think they were fajitas. Maybe they were fajitas. I think people were calling them
fajitas.
They had fajitas, right? Yeah, I think people would call them fajitas, and I said, we don't serve that here. In any case, I was not friendly when I was 13 or 14.
Jalapenos.
Yes, the jalapenos.
Jalapenos.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right. I ran into my old manager from McDonald's, and he still works at McDonald's, and that's not a dig at him. He's a magical man. He's really a fantastic guy, Tony. He manages a different McDonald's, unless it's been a couple of years since I've seen him, and he may not be there anymore. And when I ran into him, I was in uniform. We were chatting about where we were, and he said, "Oh, you've gone so far. You become a police officer. You're doing real things." And look at me, I'm just a manager at McDonald's. And I said, "You know what? You're important. You feed people, you employ people, you make people's days better or worse depending on how your day is going. And you treated me like respectfully when I worked for you. You were a great guy, and you're still a great guy." It was just I felt so bad that he felt bad, but he really does. He provides a valuable service. He's not just a manager. Whatever you do, you're important. So that my segue into, he's awesome. Is it illegal to hoot the police, maybe if he is not paying attention to the traffic light? It's not illegal to honk at the police. Hammer the horn, sit on it, maybe that's not a good idea. Give a tap and say, hey, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And if I'm focused on something that is taking me away from my driving, it's good that you do it. And that gives me a segue into that conversation that people really get upset with the fact that we can use handheld communication devices, police radios, and things like that. It's a requirement of the job. And it's not that we want to focus on it, but we're out there trying to get information so we can go and help people, because we're people helping people. Thanks, Mike. What do we have this? Yeah, Mike says, good morning. Oh, I got a low power mode. Hopefully that didn't mess up our live. Boom. Okay. It's only 10:30? How did that happen? Wow. It's because we've been doing this for an hour because we were the chief. That's why. Okay. Has everybody listened to the traffic song? That's what I want to know. Have you listened to the traffic song? I played it yesterday, and I got to play it again today. I've got to make it. There's going to be a couple of versions, but I really need to play it again. So here, I'm going to put up a poll because I can. Happy face, you heard it. Sad face, you didn't. Let me know in the comments below, or by responding. I want to know if you heard it. You heard it. It's a smiley face. If you heard it. If you haven't heard it, I'm curious, and I will play it at the end. All right.
Someone in chat just asked a question. Maybe you can address it, okay?
Okay.
Why do we need to put stickers on plates if OPP can see they're properly renewed in the computer?
Funny you should say that. Laws have changed in Ontario. You no longer have to put a sticker on a plate. You do have to renew online because we can see it in the computer. That was a change that is very recent. I believe it was March 13th. Of this year. So if you have a plate that is currently valid, you must go and you don't need a sticker. And if you have an invalid plate and it's expired, you're driving with an expired license plate and you're going to get a ticket. Yeah, that's the deal. It's free to go. MTO online. You can renew there. What else can I tell you about that? I saw a post from Teens Learn to Drive quoting Carrie Schmidt from the OPP, who said that the fines can be as high as $1,000, and that's for a suspended plate. So I got to do some more research because, as far as I can tell, having an expired plate is only $110. But he was suggesting that it could be as high as $1,000. So I'm going to do some digging and talk to legal and see if that's accurate. In any case, renew your plates. It's free, so that means there's no excuse. Just do it. Just do it. Okay. I have a question. What if I drive a car with other country license? Depends. What do you mean? Are you an Ontario driver? Is the car from somewhere else? Vice versa. Are you an American or international driver borrowing somebody's car here? I need more information to tell you what you can and cannot do. Generally speaking, if your license is lawful and legitimate, it matters more about where the car is from. So if you're an Ontario driver and you have an American car, you're probably going to get your car seized by the RCMP for failing to have proper taxes paid on importation, and then it's going to be returned to the States on your tab, or you're going to pay an exorbitant fine. Ask me how I know. And it wasn't me. I charged somebody in relation to a collision. And then when the RCMP became aware of the vehicle, which was a BMW registered out of Florida, the driver of the vehicle who was involved in the collision had a notarized note saying, from his daughter who lives in Florida, saying, I give my father permission to drive this car in Toronto. You can't do that. You can't do that. Technically speaking, if your cousin from Michigan comes over and says, could you mind going to get some milk, and he's parked behind you, technically speaking, you shouldn't be driving that as an Ontario driver, because that vehicle could be seen as you circumventing the law, and you shouldn't be doing it. So, yeah, that's the deal.
Just on vacation was the reasoning.
But vacationing
So
where?
like car rentals down in the States with an Ontario.
Oh, yeah. That's perfectly legitimate. If you're renting a motor vehicle, you can totally. So if you are visiting Canada and you have an American license, you can rent a Canadian car, and vice versa. If you have a Canadian license or an international license, you're traveling abroad, you can rent vehicles in that country. Absolutely, as long as they acknowledge your license is valid, and that is up to them. They would be telling you whether or not you're licensed. Now, that doesn't mean if they were wrong, they couldn't be. You couldn't get into trouble. Chances are you are good to go. Your international licenses or licenses from abroad are accepted in most places, and certainly in Canada we do. Okay. Where is there a no U-turn sign? Do you do a 3-pointer? So if a U-turn or a 3-point turn is still a change of direction, and the number of points in which you shift into forward or reverse does not stop it from being a U-turn. You can't make a turn in the middle of an intersection, regardless if you do it in one move or in 3. So if there's a no U-turn sign, don't turn around on the road. You're not fooling nobody. Use a driveway, drive around the block, do something, but don't do that. All right, we talked about that. I need some water. Water. All right. What do we got here? Okay, we already covered Jen Ben's question. Q, anything coming up in the chat?
What if you own a car in Canada and the US and own property in both sides?
Okay. Then drive your Canadian vehicle in Canada and drive your American vehicle in the States. And also, howdy to Missouri. How's it going? But that's ultimately it. If you are taking your American licensed vehicle and you drive it in Canada and you haven't paid taxes for it, there could be a situation where you can be charged for violating that whole taxation act. I'd have import and taxation. There's a whole duty and excise. There's an act. It's not me who would be laying the charge. It would be the RCMP. We'd just be seizing your vehicle on their behalf with their authority.
If I can't remember when I renewed my plate, can I find out online?
Yeah, go to the Ministry of Transportation. Their website will allow you to punch in your plate, punch in the code on your ownership document, and it will bring up your validity. You can also sign up for reminders, and they will email you, text you, and voice call you, or for whatever ones you choose, to remind you about your driver's license, your health card, and your license plates. Pretty cool service.
Here's a good one.
Okay.
Must you stop at a school crossing sign with no guards or painted stops present?
I'm sorry, a school crossing, so a stop sign or a school crossing sign?
It says school crossing sign.
I'm not familiar with this. A crosswalk would have to have people present, flashing lights above it. But if you're talking about a stop sign in a school crossing area, it's a stop sign. Stop sign, you have to stop regardless of who's there. But if you're talking about a crossing walk, it shouldn't be flashing if no one's present. And if no one's present, then I wouldn't stop for it. Yeah. Is that what we're talking about? Are we on the right page?
I'm just reading it verbatim, sir. There was no follow-up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Listen, all we can do is answer what's asked. Should people on bikes in e-scooters dismount when crossing an intersection? If you're riding with traffic, no. If you are crossing at a crosswalk, yes, because you're not allowed to ride in a crosswalk. It's against the law. The law. What do we have here? So we encourage travel, but not if they don't pay a tax. I don't know what we're talking about. Is that the same person or somebody commenting on the whole concept of illegally importing vehicles to avoid paying taxes? I'm not sure what we encourage. Okay. I used to walk across the border for a good steakhouse. Okay, that's cool. Walking across the border is legal. Now, you usually use border crossings as opposed to climbing fences, but that's a different story. I never said I did it. I just want to know. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about. Can slow bikers go on the sidewalk if there's no bike lanes? No. The only people who are permitted in the city of Toronto, it is regulated based on municipalities, different rules. You can't go on the side of the, you can't go on the sidewalk unless you're under 14 years old. Riders 14 and above have to be on the road. Mommy C4 says you wanted to do a poll about the song. I did, but I did it on TikTok. Sorry, I didn't clarify that it was for TikTok. Can I do polls? So 12 people have heard it, 14 people haven't heard it, and other people just don't care to comment, apparently. And okay, well, mommy, I'm calling you mommy. It's really awkward. It's your username, mommy C4. Did you hear the song? Let me know because I'm going to play it at the end. Okay. Oh, what do we got here?
If I have my phone mounted on the car, can I just touch it to answer a call?
Yes. If the phone is mounted, you're permitted to have that momentary swipe or pressing of end send in the old days, or swipe to answer. You can do that. That is a permissible use. But you can't then type a conversation, an email to mom, and pick your next favorite song. It's a simple pickup, and what just went up on screen? Something went on. Tracy Bell's comment. I think they mean things, thumbs, dream. I don't know what this is.
That was for the school crossing.
Oh, okay, yeah, the link. I can pull up the link and see what it says. Can I follow it? No, I can't follow the link. It just goes up there. Is that what you tried to do? You tried to read the link and then it came up on screen?
Yeah, I tried to highlight just the link itself, but then it highlighted the whole chat.
Ah. Oh, I don't want to do a block list. Cool. Oh, I got stuff happening here. Got it. Okay, we will try Instagram. Instagram is having battery management problems. I'm using an old iPhone 6 to stream onto Instagram. See, you can do this with anything. There is no, so it's going to die, and when it does die, then it'll be dead. So we'll keep you going as long as we can. We've got 19 minutes left, and hopefully you can stick it out for the rest of it. And if not, you can always come onto the other platforms. We were on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, even Twitter. Although nobody on Twitter can ask us questions because it doesn't work. But hopefully it will one day. And of course, we're on TikTok because that's our primary platform. Somebody says about, we're taxing Americans driving to Canada. No, we're not taxing Americans driving to Canada. We are telling people who have vehicles on both sides of the wall, the both sides of the country, or the both sides of the border. That's what I'm looking for. The deal is that if you have an American vehicle and you drive it across and you're an American driver, you can drive it. If you have vehicles on both sides and you have a license on both sides, because for instance, Ontario residents would be required to have an Ontario driver's license, and if you're a Florida resident, for instance, you'd have to have an Ontario or a Florida license to buy a Florida car. So it becomes an issue when you're taking one vehicle to the other side. Okay. Question is 158 and a 110. Is it stunt, Shapiro? 158, regardless of the speed limit, is stunt because you're over 150. 150 anywhere or above is stunt driving. So yes, 158 and a 110 is stunt driving. 150 and a 110 is stunt driving. Period. 151 is a stunt driving in a 110. Yeah. What age must you be to sit your child in the front seat? So the rules about sitting in the front seat, there's no elevator. There's no rule that says you cannot be in the front seat unless you are a certain age. The rule is about being outside of a car seat. To be outside of a car seat or booster, you must be 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9". That's to be out of the booster. Safety suggests you should be in the back seat until you are 14. But that's not a law. That's a suggestion based on medical people who know stuff about medicine and surviving collisions. Yes. I see. Covered that. I like the old yellow cop cars back in the 60s. Bring them back. We had them at Honda Indy. I was going to call it Molson Indy because for some reason my mind keeps going back to Molson. And I don't drink, but it's just I grew up with it being the Molson Indy. And the deal is that we had those vehicles there. The reason we stopped using yellow paint, it wasn't because Americans got in thinking it was a taxi and asking us to drive them to their hotel. It was because they contained high amounts of lead in the paint, and then it changed, and it never changed back. I wonder if I wonder if it will, if it would have ever continued if it wasn't for lead. Like would we have just been the yellow police car forever place? Who knows? But we've now gone to cool colors. I don't want to go back to bright colors. I like cool colors. Okay. Did you ever want to move into supervision as a sergeant, etc.? I was a supervisor I was a sergeant when I was an auxiliary officer. I was a supervisor in court services, and I've written for sergeant. I've not put enough time into the program to score high enough to move on the process. Either I was having kids. Well, I was watching my wife have kids. I wasn't doing the having kids. We had kids, or I was, preparing for presentation. Like I've always had something else on my plate. I've never had time to truly dedicate. And maybe we'll do it again. I'd like to do it. My lifestyle at the moment is such that I'm busy, and you have to be able to dedicate time and effort into studying to do it properly. So I don't want to do it I don't want to do it halfway. I want to do it properly. So I may pause this year, although there is a promotional process, I believe, this year. And maybe I'll try it again the next year. We'll see how what life brings me in terms of time management. Lots of stuff going on. I'm a busy guy. And that is an excuse, but it's not an excuse. It's just an excuse. Why do I keep getting pulled over for my tinted plate cover when you can clearly see the plate? Because it's illegal. You're getting pulled over for breaking the law, and you're not fixing it, so they're continuing to pull you over for breaking the law. Yeah. You can't cover your plate at all. You can't have license plate frames. You can't have plastic frames that are provided to you free from your dealer to give them free advertising. You cannot obstruct your plate in any way, shape, or form. Even clear printed or clear plastic cover is not legal. I live at a temporary address. Do I need to update my driver's license? If you are living there as your primary address temporarily, yeah, it's your primary address for a period of time. Within 6 days, you're supposed to change it. I would say it depends on living versus visiting. If you're going back to somewhere else, but if you have no somewhere else to go back to, then you should be updating it within 6 days of making that change. So let's say you're moving to school for 6 months. That's moving. That's not visiting. That's where you sleep at night every night. Yeah, visiting somewhere for a weekend or even a month is different than moving temporarily. You just change back. And you can change it online. I think it's free. You just quickly do it and it's done.
Someone in chat asked, will I get pulled for having my plates in my dash?
Yes, that's illegal.
Followed up then said, I've had it in there for 14 months, but never got pulled for it. And apparently it's not illegal if you're waiting for a plate holder to come in.
There is no exemption to allow you to break the law and put it in a dangerous place. There's absolutely no exemption because I can tell you that everyone seems to have a great excuse for why they don't have it. But there's these magical things that were invented many years ago called zip ties. They work. Tow hook adapters, they work. You have alternatives. And yes, an officer can exercise discretion and say, you know what, I believe you, and I'm going to let it go. And the next officer will say, no, I don't, and here's your ticket. It's $110 for failing to display your plate. But more importantly, aside from the law, it is dangerous to display your plates in the front window. Now, we established it's against the law, does not meet the requirements of the legal of the law in Ontario. The HTA says otherwise. It has to be the frontmost part of your plate, displayed. There's a word for it that escapes me at the moment, but in an obvious position, conspicuous. I think it's conspicuous location on the front of your vehicle. Your windshield's not in the front of your vehicle. So right away, front of vehicle not being met. But the issue is that license plate becomes a free-floating projectile within your vehicle upon collision, and it might end up like a throwing star lodged in your forehead. That would be a bad day at the office. Does the COVID exemption allowing you to obtain your G after G2 being expired if it's the same year? So this year ends that exemption. If you got your G1 or G2, M1 or M2, anytime after March 1st, 2020, I haven't said this in a while, it's cool to say it, then you are covered under an extension that covers you right until the end of this year, December 31st, 2022. Get your license, yeah, I know 22, get your license done before the end of this year, or you are actually done. It will be expired. For a long time, up until February 28th, fully licensed drivers were also extended. That has ended February 28, 2022. That was the end. They kind of extended it till March, for license plates till March 13th when they started the new program. But February 28th for driver's licenses. And you should check your driver's license and see if it's expired for the folks who have their full licenses. So many people who forgot to renew, didn't realize they had to renew. Just, it's been so many years they didn't know what to do. Okay. Eddie Brock, is that a movie reference, Eddie Brock? What is this? Oh, so a question for me from Master Technician. Do cops always take your motorcycle keys during stops? No, doesn't always happen. Usually happens when someone is trying to run away or was not stopping, and someone and the keys are taken out of the ignition to prevent them from running away because they were hard to stop in the first place. This is all about officer safety, and but are you seizing them? No, it's turning off the engine usually till you get the information, and once you get the information, if they want to go, they can go. Yeah. It's all about people stopping for the police and preventing the continuation of the offense, officer safety, and a whole bunch of things. I had a guy who tried to run me over with his motorcycle. That was bad. But I took his key out of the ignition at the time, and he says, "Well, what are you doing that for?" I go, "You just tried to run me over." "I didn't know you were a police officer." The words "police" across my chest weren't a hint. Anyway, he got his vehicle towed away because he lost his license for stunt driving. That wasn't payback. I stopped him for speeding. He just tried to run me over because they didn't want to get stopped. It's funny. I don't know. Some people get really upset. If you're gonna do the crime, be a big enough person to take your ticket and deal with it in whatever way you see fit afterwards. But running away, that's a real sissy move. Okay. Tried to run over. Yeah. It was a thing. Okay. Can you go? What is this? Where's the chief? Chief left. He had to go. We started the. Thank you for bringing that up. If you tuned in at 10 o'clock looking for the chief and the chief wasn't here, that's because he was here. Like Pokeroo, he had to go. His schedule changed last minute, so we started 30 minutes early. If you want to catch the interaction with the chief, you can get it on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter, everywhere on replay. You can totally do that. And I apologize to anyone who came in at 10 o'clock and was disappointed not to see the chief. That was not the intention, but things happen. He's a busy guy with lots of demands because he's kind of the chief. So we appreciate whatever time we had with him, and he says he'll come back. So this will happen again, and we'll give you more notice and ability to submit questions in advance, and that way, using trafficcop.ca, we can get as much in front of the chief as possible in that quick short time that we have available for him. How come I never see police vehicles at the gas station? Do they fill up at the station before their shift? That's a good question, Rocket. Thank you very much. The answer to the question is, yeah, we have our own gas pumps. We have gas pumps at the police station, and we fill up at the beginning of shift. If we run out of gas, most of our police stations have gas pumps, and we'll go and top up. Boom. What is this question? Like it would have been okay to run over a civilian. What are we talking about, Tracy? I don't understand your question. I don't know what you're talking about. I probably said something that makes a lot of sense to go with that, but I've now moved on, and I'm the connection to the queue. Do you remember what I said that makes sense to go with that? Big Jeff Fresh says, like Pokeroo, I haven't heard that in forever. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Okay. What do we got here? Are there...
It was in reference to the illegal acts of plates and etc.
Okay, I got one water in.
There's a few questions in chat.
Okay. Our chat?
Yes.
What are the laws with Canadian geese? Say children are throwing things at them and terrorizing them? I don't know if that I know there's stuff with, what do they call them? Murder chickens? Like there's a guy on TikTok who calls them something, and I can't remember if it's murder chickens or something else. They are mean and nasty sometimes. But we hope that parents would be parents and stop their children from doing that. I don't know what violation though. I wonder if I type in geese into my criminal code search if I would be able to find anything. Let's it's not under the Highway Traffic Act, I can say that for certain. Criminal code. I wonder if it's there. Can I find criminal code? Here we go, criminal code. Geese. I bet you there's nothing here. No? How about goose? No. That's just bird. Injuring, endangering animals, unnecessary suffering, causing damage or injury. Everyone who commits an offense who by willful neglect causes damage or injury to animals while they are being driven or conveyed, that's different. Being the owner, no. Causing unnecessary suffering, anyone who commits an offense who willfully causes or being the owner willfully permits to be caused unnecessary pain, suffering to an animal or a bird. Interesting how it's an animal or a bird. No, that's for fighting. I have to read this. I don't know. There's probably actually the OSPCA has an act, does it not? That might cover it for cruelty to animals. But I know not of this section. I'm a traffic cop, but I'm curious now. So there we go. Q put this up. It says there's a Migratory Birds Convention Act of 1994. Thanks, Q. That I now need to read because I now need to know the answer about Canadian geese. Geese. Migratory birds. I got to make notes. I love this. Thank you for making me read up on acts I will never need for anything else. Cobra chickens. Thank you, Big Jeff Fresh. Cobra chickens, not murder chickens. I think it's because of Demolition Man, Murder, Death, Kill. Does anyone know Demolition Man? One of the best movies. Well, okay, it wasn't the best movie, but it's a movie that I really enjoyed. What year was that out? 'Cause it's probably pretty old. Anyway, Cobra chickens. I need a shirt. I worked for a software company for a while, and they had those Cobra chickens stationed outside, and you had to run to get inside the building every day for fear of being attacked by multiples of them, because they'd nest there every year, and thus it was their space. And of course, they would inhabit the area between the parking garage and the actual front doors to the building. That's when I was at like Leslie and Eglinton area. Yeah, it's a thing. 4 minutes to go. Let's play a song.
Before that, or when you're getting to that,
Go ahead.
Logs 19 wants to know, is GoPro legal on motorcycle helmet? Or
We've not talked about making people unhappy about this in a while. The answer is that putting anything on your helmet, whether it be GoPro or otherwise, if it's affixed to the shell, if it changes the shell from being a smooth, hard surface, it is illegal. Also, if you put a furry Cookie Monster cover on it, illegal. There's case law to support it. I've been challenged about it many a time. It remains illegal. GoPro cameras on your bike, perfectly legal. GoPro cameras on your person, perfectly legal, but not on your helmet. Your helmet has been designed and has been tested the way it comes out of the box. By modifying it in any way, shape, or form, makes it no longer a legal, safe helmet. So, improper helmet would be the appropriate charge. I ran out of time yesterday, and I never got time today, so let's, I had wanted to export the wave into my control box. I didn't do it, so we're going to do it old-fashioned. This is something out of the 80s where you hold a microphone next to the radio. That's what I'm doing. All right.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I love this.
Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I really do love that song. And when I was on the radio this weekend, I probably said this yesterday too, but I was on the radio, on Zoomer Radio. They played the song live on air. So it is now an officially radio played piece of music. And I think that just is so cool. This obviously was written and performed by Yukanatuk, who happens to be a member of the Toronto Police Service Traffic Services Unit, working here in the CIB Investigative Office downstairs, the detective office. And I smile every time I hear it because I love it. And we're gonna have some fun with that. We have some duet. You want to duet it? It's on there. You can go duet it. You can add to it. You want to build a rock version of it? I'm down. You do all sorts of things. I say I'm down, like I wrote it. It's not my song to butcher, but I spoke to Di and she's cool with that. If someone is a talented musician and wants to turn it into some other version and big it up, I think that's cool. And yes, Q, you can. Okay. Let's see. We'll be back tomorrow for a far less stressful morning. I say that with all fun. Having the boss here, having the chief here, is it's kind of stressful. And he's awesome, but you don't want to mess up. There's a lot of pressure. Here, I can just come and talk, and when the boss is here, you gotta be on. All right. Enough of that. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. It'll be Wednesday by then. just in case you were wondering. And we will see you. Have a safe day. Have a wonderful, safe day. We're going to put out some content today. That's the plan. Talk to you soon.
10, 9, 8.
Oh, I haven't done it in a while. I could do this, right?
What do you want to do?
4,
Oh, I walked all over that.
2, 1, 0.
Do you want to try it again?
Bye, TikTok.
Okay, we're out. Oh, and as I say goodbye and everyone says, "Oh, we're out of here," I should probably say, or give Usman the answer to his question and acknowledge that Leo Wife says, "Stay safe." Thank you very much. Big Jeff Fresh loves the song, and the ukulele is not. Is it? It's not the ukulele for me. It's the ukulele for me. I'm not sure. Okay, well, that's what does it for Tracy. Okay, so RCMP differs from TPS because they're the federal police. Is it more similar to the FBI? They do municipal policing too, but they're federal police, and we're just Toronto. We're municipal police. All right, we're really out. Have a good one.